You can now describe a website to AI and watch it build the pages, the database, and functionality in a matter of minutes. Now, does that mean vibe coding platforms like Replit and Lovable have made WordPress obsolete?
Not quite. WordPress and Lovable solve completely different problems. Today, we'll explain which one to use, what each one does well, and where both can go wrong.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the AI and Marketing Podcast for local businesses, the show that gives you practical, proven marketing advice to help you grow your business right here in the UK. My name's Adam. I'm a best-selling Amazon published author, AI enthusiast and AI presenter, and founder of www.websitedesigners.london. We've helped businesses generate tens of millions of pounds online through smarter design and marketing.
My name is Josh. I'm the founder of ImproveMySearchRanking.com, a SEO and AI search agency based in London and 3-time winner of the UK Search Awards. We've worked with well over 1,000 businesses, helping them generate over £200 million in sales.
Amazing. So let's get straight into it. What is vibe coding? You probably heard of it a number of times. It's got a, I love the phrase vibe coding. I feel like it's some sort of hippie phrase, but it's essentially, it means describing what you want in plain English and allowing AI to generate much of the code. So essentially, build me a website for a local bakery that sells vegan cakes, and then it just builds it for you like magic. You might ask a platform, a vibe coding platform like Replit or Lovable. There are other ones on the market you can visit to build something like that, a directory maybe, or a customer portal, or quotation calculator, or another tool. It can be used to create an interface, a database, user accounts, functionality, and it's closer to what I describe as AI-assisted software development rather than a kind of traditional drag-and-drop website builder like the likes of Square and GoDaddy has a couple of drag-and-drop builders as well. Now, let's talk advantages and a bit here, Josh.
Yeah. So the big, huge advantage with vibe coding is the speed, and it's just unbelievable. You can log into one of these tools that you mentioned, Lovable, Replit, and you can ask it to do something, and within seconds, it's going to generate a pretty cool looking design. And what's really great about it is that you can make changes. Just speaking to it conversationally, you can ask it in plain English, change this into this, and it will do it almost instantaneously. But I suppose the big thing is that building an impressive prototype is completely different from building a secure and reliable system that can serve real customers. There is a big difference there. So that's where potentially WordPress could be the better use case, because it's been around for many, many, many years. Anything to add on that?
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just agreeing with you. And carry on.
Yeah, so WordPress can be a better use case, particularly in certain different scenarios. So first and foremost, if it's a kind of more conventional business website that you're looking to build rather than a web app. So if you're building a website with service pages or blogs or case studies, team profiles, your get a quote page, inquiry forms, an e-commerce site. This is probably, as it stands right now, a better use case for using WordPress over vibe coding a website.
Absolutely. I mean, look, this is all the reasons Josh stated is why it's, and this new tool has come about and it's amazing and it's taken kind of the industry by storm. However, what if we think about WordPress and the kind of the reasons why perhaps you might want to use WordPress is because it has this ecosystem called plugins. So a plugin is essentially, if you think about a additional add-on tool to a website that allows you to add additional functionality to it. So they're pre-made, and you can buy them. Some are free online there, and it's huge. if a reputable plugin already handles a particular feature, then, well, why do you need to really custom build it, right? It's just unnecessary cost, and risk as well, because if you're building something from scratch, it might have security concerns. You might not be GDPR compliant. Not to say that every single plugin out there is, but the vast majority, especially if they're well known and reputable, they're going to be tested, and people are going to report bugs, and they're going to fix bugs instantaneously. Whereas if you're building it from scratch, well, you're just opening yourself up to potentially unnecessary risk. So if you are let's say an accountant, a baker, a solicitor, a restaurant owner, a local tradesperson, WordPress is likely the more practical choice. Now, when I say the more practical choice, WordPress can also be a much more complex to use to build a website, especially if you are one of those. If web design and web development isn't is that you don't have that in your skill set, right? So I guess this is more kind of a thought process for when you do want to redesign or have a web developer like ourselves to design your website. Maybe those are the kind of questions you can think about that and have that discussion with your web developer, i.e., what would be better for me? A vibe coded website on Replit or Lovable, or a WordPress website? And being able to be armed with these questions and pros and cons will allow you to have a better conversation. So Lovable becomes the better choice when you're building something closer to a web application. So think of a customer dashboard, a personalized calculator. In fact, talking about personalized calculators, I'm in the process of thinking about buying a new place. I didn't know how much money I needed, and you've got some loads of great online calculators nowadays to tell you how much of a mortgage you might need when you enter your income and expenses. But it doesn't. I couldn't really find a calculator to tell me, well, how about the refurbishment costs? If it's a new build, probably going to be near nothing. You might want to buy some furniture and furnishings. But what if it's a 1970s building, or it needs quite a bit of work, and being able to estimate how much that's going to cost, as well as all my legal fees, stamp duty, more deposit, etc. So I built a tool, right? So homebudgettool.com. So a tool I built on Lovable in a matter of, the first draft was done in a matter of minutes, but I finessed it over the kind of hours now, over hours to create that. So it's just an example of the art of the possible with these tools. So, it could be a searchable directory. Again, another example that I've kind of used that for is northcyprus-guide.com. That's a directory showing loads of different places people can visit, whether it's a hotel, restaurant, dentists in North Cyprus, because I found a gap in the market. So all that to say, there are many examples where Lovable would be more appropriate and compelling. But you just need to think about what is your outcome? What is your end goal?
One idea that came to mind when you're speaking there was a lot of people listening to this might already have a WordPress website or a website built in any other type of CMS like Wix or Squarespace or whatever it may be. And a way you could use AI to build some of these tools, well, you could use a tool like Claude or ChatGPT to build one of these standalone, like a calculator or any other type of tool, and you could ask it to generate it in such a way that it's built in HTML, where you could then copy and paste that into a HTML block on your website and kind of get the best of both on your existing website with one of these vibe coded tools, which is pretty cool. We've done this for quite a few of our clients in the last few months, where we've said for free we can build you these pricing calculators or garden visualizers. It's a quite a cool thing to do. So Lovable definitely becomes more compelling in those instances, as you said. So the difference is simply just what is the user going to be doing on your website as a whole? And if it's just going to be browsing around, reading some information and submitting an inquiry, then WordPress would probably make more sense, as I said earlier. But as you just alluded to, if they need to do something a bit more complicated, if they need to log in, if they need to manage data, if they need to receive personalized results, if they need to fill in a calculator tool, then maybe a custom application may be more appropriate and more effective. But then having said that, there are certain risks involved with vibe coding, and AI can produce something that looks fantastic and looks basically finished before it really is ready for the public. You still need to consider things like your security, permissions, mobile usability, accessibility, and what happens if something goes wrong. And on that note, I built a tool for SEO a few months ago, and I made some sort of mistake in the vibe coding, and my API key was open to the public or something like this. It wasn't an issue. It didn't cause me any kind of massive problems, but I got some security warnings about it, and it got shut down. So you do need to make sure you're looking into the security side of things in particular.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So one thing you can kind of, as an example, ask yourself the question: are you going to be handling customer information? If you are, think about GDP and data, and think about whether you want to open yourself up to that risk and design a kind of an app or application from scratch, as opposed to using a plugin. Because, and again, you've got to think of the customer journey as well, right? What happens if someone's payment bounces and fails? What happens to the customer? Do they still, if they're purchasing something online, what happens if you've got to connect everything together, because the payment might fail, but then if you haven't built it correctly, the system might just say that they've been paid, you've been paid even, and then you send out your product or you deliver your service without taking payment. So just an example of risk that comes with building your own stuff. And what happens when an integration stops working that you want? Let's say you rely on your website to take bookings as a restaurant, and you built it using vibe coding, completely unaware that maybe something's broken over time, or something needed to be updated and you didn't notice it, and then the integration stops working and people aren't able to book on your website anymore, and then your business dries up. So the consequences can be grave if you're not kept on top of it. This is not trying to scare people or put people off, because I use it. It's bloody brilliant. I've already kind of explained that. But the more sensitive the data, the greater the cost of failure. The more you're reliant on it, the more professional oversight you'll need.
There's also a lot of ongoing costs involved with running an AI vibe coded type website. Yeah, things like hosting. So WordPress, of course, you need hosting as well. But for your AI vibe coded tool, you might need additional hosting for outside databases, for additional storage, for API usage and connections. The actual usage of the AI tool, so Lovable, I don't know what the monthly fee is, but I believe there's different price points. And don't know if that links. If you also use Claude, for example, there might be a monthly fee for your Claude account or your ChatGPT account if you needed any additional AI integrations from those LLMs. And there's all the maintenance to upkeep it and make sure it's all working, and the testing of all those things Adam just mentioned there. So the costs probably, with WordPress, it's very simple. You pay for your hosting and that's it. There's no additional costs. You can buy plugins and things, but there's a massive catalog of free plugins. So WordPress is probably cheaper to run and more secure on the face of it, I would say.
Exactly. So let's talk about the risks of WordPress. Well, WordPress can become slow and difficult to manage when developers might kind of install too many plugins or bloated themes, especially when those plugin developers and theme developers don't continually update the plugin itself as WordPress as a content management system updates its core um, systems and code. So you are somewhat reliant on those plugin developers. But again, if you're buying plugins from a reputable organization, then you should be able to mitigate that risk. Yeah, and from a technicality perspective, how what's your perspective on WordPress, Josh?
Yeah, so it can be adapted to almost any different scenario. I mean, WordPress can be used to create calculators and various different tools as well. It's not limited to being a brochure type website with an inquiry form. So it can be adapted to anything, but it doesn't mean it should be. And every additional feature and plugin and thing you add to your WordPress site can make it slower, more open to security risks as well. And it could be, therefore, better suited to use a vibe coding software instead. WordPress also comes pre-installed with probably thousands of different lines of code you don't need in most cases. So that's all worth considering for the risks of WordPress.
Absolutely.
So
let's talk SEO.
So which is better for SEO? So Google doesn't rank a website simply because it's using WordPress. Rankings, of course, depend on all sorts of things like we've discussed on this podcast: content, technical optimization, site speed, the structure, authority, user experience, all sorts of different things. WordPress has got a good reputation of being a good CMS for SEO. The way it's been built is good. And there are other other CMSs, like, for example, historically Wix was really, really, really bad. It has improved in recent years, but So WordPress is definitely a good starting point for SEO. You're not going to rank though just because you have a WordPress site. There's still various things you need to do to ensure you do rank.
Absolutely agreed. And WordPress does have an advantage because of its what they call content heavy website and the way it publishes and its SEO ecosystem being so mature. And the vast majority of websites online use WordPress. So the likes of your search engines like Google and ChatGPT and Claude integrate well with WordPress. Whereas Lovable websites and Replit websites that are vibe coded, they can absolutely rank to, again, seeing it with my websites. However, I did have to really get more technical with the SEO, with integrating it with third-party applications. And yes, they are improving over time, but it might require more deliberate implementation, especially for dynamic pages and complex applications too. So from an SEO perspective, WordPress wins, I would say. It's a clear hands down from my perspective for its maturity. That's not to say in a few months, weeks, days, you never know, that these vibe coding platforms will get better for sure. For example, Lovable has already integrated with SEMrush. I say integrated, very loosely integrated. There isn't much function there to use. More of a, hey, have you answered these common questions? And I mean, that's about it for Lovable at the moment in time. But the question, I guess, can you use both? And we were actually talking, Josh and I, about this. And Josh, you mentioned. In fact, I'll let you talk about your suggestion earlier.
Yes, so that was using a tool like Replit or Lovable to work up a design and make it really fancy looking design, but then taking that design away and hard coding it into Elementor in WordPress. So you can use the best of both worlds here. So you can vibe code the style and the design and the features that you like the look of, and then you can use WordPress to actually build that so you get the advantages of both WordPress and Lovable.
Exactly. And so I guess you can use both is a kind of the bottom line here. You could use WordPress for your public website and Lovable to build a back-end customer portal or interactive tool or some sort of customer relationship management tool if you can't find one online. So, and then there are some kind of examples where how that might work that Josh will just break down just now.
Yes, I mean, if you wanted to have a public facing website, you might want to put that on your like main domain name. So it might be companyabc.com. That will be your main website with all your main service pages and articles and case studies. But you also may have some sort of app like the CRM system or some sort of calculator, and that might be on app.companyabc.com. And that would be where you host your Lovable AI vibe coded website. And then each of those two separate domains would be catering to what they do best.
Absolutely. So look, let's get to the bottom line here. A quick decision test to ask yourself 5 questions to better understand whether you should use Lovable or WordPress or vibe coding platform like Lovable, Replit or WordPress. 5 questions. Number 1, is this primarily a website or a software product? Website, arguably WordPress. Software product, arguably Lovable. Number 2, will users consume content or manage data? Consume content, arguably WordPress. Manage data, again, we did highlight the risk elements here, but vibe coding, Lovable. Number 3, is the required functionality common or genuinely bespoke? Genuinely bespoke, Lovable. Common, WordPress. And these are my opinions, by the way. People can have different opinions. Number 4, who needs to update it after launch? If you need to pass this on to someone else, yes, of course, you can share projects and allow users access to your backend vibe coded platform like Lovable. However, WordPress has a whole kind of system and structure around allowing people to have access at various different levels as well, whether they are the SEO person, the person who updates your pricing, the person who just changes some content, and the administrator as well. And question number 5 to ask yourself, what happens commercially? What are the risks and impact if something goes wrong with this website? If the answer is, gosh, very, very high, I would stick to WordPress for now. And my answers can change. I reserve the right to change my judgment over the next days, weeks, and months. But right now, as it stands, those are my answers. I don't know if you disagree with any of those, Josh?
No, I don't think so. So yeah, content-led and conventional kind of websites would still be WordPress for me as well. Interactive, personalized, and super, super bespoke systems and tools would certainly be easier to create and Lovable, albeit there are some downsides with the security and the data and all that kind of stuff, how you keep that secure. But yeah, if an established platform already exists and solves a problem well, why kind of try and reinvent the wheel and try and rebuild something from scratch? In the case of if you want to brochure website with good SEO, I think WordPress probably, as it stands, it's probably still best to go to a professional and do this rather than vibe code it yourself.
100% agree. And I guess the final kind of bottom line to this all is, and the verdict, 2 sentences: vibe coding has not killed WordPress yet. But what it has done is made bespoke digital products much faster and affordable to explore.
Exactly. And WordPress remains an excellent choice for conventional marketing and content-led websites, whereas Lovable has become a powerful opportunity to make a website where you need the product and custom functionality, personalization, kind of complex user interactions.
Absolutely. So don't choose the platform with where people are talking about it the most and people are kind of shouting about it on the off the rooftops the most. Start with what the customer needs to do with your outcome, what you're trying to achieve, who will manage it, and what happens if it fails. Then choose the tech that fits the problem. Better still, engage a professional like myself and Josh. Thank you for listening to this. If you have enjoyed it, please do give us 5 stars, give us a follow, drop a comment in there as well. We'd love to hear what you think as well. Thank you for listening.